Hi there, this is David and welcome to New RPG News. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, from some Final Fantasy 16 DLC to some brand new game announcements, to a way to actually play Dragon Quest X in English, to Falcom even creating a new series that's not Ys and not Trails. But before we get into the 20 plus stories that we have today, no joke, here's first a word from our sponsor. This week's New RPG News is brought to you by Rising Spire, an action-packed adventure RPG featuring classic turn-based combat. This is entering early access on Steam on July 14th, and afterwards, new story chapters will be releasing periodically. And once it's fully released, it will even be ported on over to the Nintendo Switch. If you've heard of this game before, that's because this was actually fully funded on Kickstarter last year, where it broke through all of its goals to reach 189% funding. And I can definitely see why. Not only does this feature beautiful detailed pixel art, but also an overworld that you can explore at your own pace and a classic day-night cycle, where items, locales, and even enemies change based upon the time of day. This is a throwback to simpler times, but with some cool modern features, such as character quests, where you can deep dive into the lives of your party members to learn more about them and the world that they inhabit. Links to the Steam page can be found in the description, as well as the pinned comment, so be sure to check it on out and support your first-time indie developers. And now with that, let's get on to this week's news. So I first want to start today off with just kind of going over this announcement that you might have missed if you didn't watch my video right above. We've got Davidception going on right now. There's two Davids in one! Anyway, this is the video that I did about this. Limited Run Games announces over 20 new physical releases at their show, and in my video I went over 7 that I thought were pretty cool. I went over Another Crusade, which is a Super Mario RPG inspired indie, but it definitely has some balancing issues. Arzette, the Jewel of Faramore, which is a Zelda CDI, yeah, you heard me right, inspired action RPG, a Castlevania Advance collection, that's 4 Castlevania games in one. Clock Tower, which is finally getting released in America for the first time. That's a horror type of game, like Maniac Mansion, I suppose. Dungeons of Aether, which is a turn-based dungeon crawler type of game. I know a lot of other people were excited about the Gex trilogy, which is like a action platformer game that was released back on the PlayStation, and I think the Sega Dreamcast, maybe? I don't know, I never had a Dreamcast, so God only knows. Other people also interested in Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, that weirdo porn game. Back in the 90s, give me a break, I don't know. The Shantae Advance Risky Revolution was announced, which is the lost Shantae game that was gonna be released on the Game Boy Advance but was canceled, so that's pretty cool. And then Toomba, which is another kind of Metroidvania released on the PlayStation back when, that's coming out, and also This Way Madness Lies. So there's your quick recap. There's a lot of different games that they announced there, and I just wanted to go over all of them. We have confirmation of a new Nintendo Switch model by Microsoft, of all people. We don't know if this is an actual, new Nintendo Switch, if this is going to be the Nintendo Switch 2, or if this is going to be a Nintendo Switch Pro, a little bit better upgrade sort of thing, or if it's a brand new console. We don't know that yet, but what we do know comes from this citation of the court, which is, I think, kind of funny, because first of all, they said here, the FTC has identified that Microsoft is not omnipotent and has not developed the ability to tell the future. So bitchy, I love it. But what actually the actual news part here is that it says Microsoft commitment to make Call of Duty available on an in-development Switch model. That's the important part right there, that there is a new Switch model in development. And it's kind of interesting that we get that information through Call of Duty, of all things. Then we have down here, reliable Nintendo leaker shares details on this. It says that these updates indicated that the company was incorporated support for the new Switch model referred to as the NX2. Furthermore, a tool was updated suggesting that Nintendo was preparing to unveil the successor to the Switch to various developers. This leaked information hinted that the public announcement of the Switch successor might be closer than anticipated. So if you haven't yet bought a Switch, you might want to wait on that till probably after Christmas, because they already said that nothing's coming this year. But that means that probably something's coming next year, and probably early. But it would kind of make sense for them to release it right before Christmas, to go over and get that, holiday money. But who knows what they're going to be doing. This is kind of sad news, but it really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody who is a collector or anybody who plays retro games like me and you. We had a study, and it revealed that 87% of classic games are completely unavailable. 9 out of 10 games are just gone. It says only 13% of all games released before 2010 are commercially or readily available today. This is why games are so expensive nowadays, and this is why game preservation is so important. Additionally, it had some key takeaways. It said, the PS2, which was the best-selling console in history, has seen only 12% of its entire catalog survive the test of time. That's really sad. An estimated 1,000 unique games disappeared when the 3DS and Wii U digital storefronts closed earlier this year. Outdated US copyright laws are preventing libraries and organizations from easily preserving classic video games, and there is an ongoing debate to rewrite those laws, with a review being scheduled for 2024. So, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I emulate games. I think that just about everybody watching this show probably also emulates games, and there's a reason for that, because games like Earthbound cost $2,000! Give me a freaking break. I am lucky enough to have a copy of my original Earthbound, what I wouldn't do for, the complete in box or whatever that I used to have, but that's gone, and that's, another story for another time. But anyway, this is why emulation is so important, and thankfully emulation is so easy to do still, and I know that they're trying to make that harder too, but people wouldn't emulate if companies just made their games available. This isn't rocket science. Make your games available on a digital storefront, and then people might actually buy them and not emulate them. Just saying. Well, this sucks. Sega put out a survey and suggested that the Persona 3 Reload is set to retail for $70. A remake. Not even a full remake, including Fez or the PSP portable stuff. A remake is going for 70 frickin' bucks. That's crazy. This comes from a deleted tweet, it says, but it has been preserved over on Reset Era. So it says, in that tweet, we saw a snippet from a recent survey sent out by Sega, but it seems that they left the price tag on. Yeah, they're geniuses over there. They've yet to confirm or deny anything anyway, but considering that the company all but promised that it would be jacking up prices, we shouldn't be surprised. That's just wonderful. I said this last news video. If you want to buy this game, good on you. But just keep in mind that probably a year from now, there's going to be a Persona 3 Reload Royal that's going to be the actual complete one, so you might as well save your frickin' money and wait for that. Capcom is considering new Mega Man games. It just needs some ideas. I wonder what ideas I might have. Mega Man Battle Network? Mega Man Legends? Some sort of Mega Man RPG? Just saying. It says here that his appearances have been few and far between since the departure of the series' designer. He last appeared in his last mainline game back in 2018, that was 5 years ago, and Mega Man X last major console outing being in 2005, so it's been a minute. Capcom also says that it's still thinking about the future of other series, such as Sengoku Basara and Onimusha? I don't know. They don't say anything about Breath of Fire, though. That's upsetting, but, maybe if we got a Mega Man RPG, then that might, quench my thirst for a Breath of Fire. I doubt it, but maybe? Remember that Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection sold over 1 million copies. I reported on that a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully they do see some money in making a new Mega Man RPG, because, you know, how these companies are, they always follow the almighty dollar. I have shared some sales data with you recently in regards to Monolith Soft, to Final Fantasy, to the Atelier series, and now it is Dragon Quest's turn. The entire franchise has sold 88 million units worldwide. I'm going to guess that that's lifetime sales, like back from like 1986 up until now, and that is nothing to sneeze at, although I thought that they would probably do better than that, but who knows. I think that Final Fantasy, didn't they sell like 180 million? So they are definitely doing better, but Dragon Quest is still up there. But it also says that back in October of 2022, they were confirmed to have sold 85 million units. So just in 1 year, actually less than 1 year, because it's not even October of 2023, they sold 3 million more units, which really shows that, again, the Dragon Quest series is on the rise and RPGs are doing spectacularly right now. And we're not done with Dragon Quest. There's still 2 more Dragon Quests coming out this year. There's the Dragon Quest Monsters, the Dark Prince with Sorrow, which we're going to be getting into a little bit later on in the news program, as well as Dragon Quest Infinity Strash, The Adventures of Dai, that action RPG based upon that anime that's very Dragon Warrior 2 inspired as well. So here's hoping for some good Dragon Quest news and sales. We have a lot more details on Dragon Quest Monsters, The Dark Prince. We have story details, main characters, world, and monsters. So let's just kind of go through this. It says the new adventure follows Sorrow, which is the main antagonist from Dragon Quest IV. But it says that he's been cursed by his own father, the ruler of the monster realm of Naderia, and he's rendered incapable of harming any creature of monster blood. And we got to explore Naderia back in Dragon Quest IV. Not a whole lot, because it was an NES game, but we still got to explore it. In defiance, Sorrow becomes a monster wrangler and soon commands his very own army of loyal monster minions. On his quest for revenge against his father, he meets Rose from Rosaville, a young elvish woman and a mysterious man who goes by the name of Toiling Trouble. Together they head off to face the perils awaiting them in Naderia. His ultimate goal is vengeance, but he'll need to befriend many monsters and tread many dark paths before he's capable of fulfilling that ambition. Then it gives him some screenshots of the various characters, and Toiling Trouble over here looks like Alfalfa from Little Rascals. Like, I don't know what's up with that, but okay. Then it says here that the story takes place in Naderia, an underworld domain where monsters reign supreme, and it's divided into a number of realms called circles, probably like Dante's 7 Circles of Hell, which each one is comprised of 3 separate areas, a lower, middle, and upper echelon. There's the Circle of Temper, the Circle of Indulgence. I'm gonna guess, just like the 7 Circles of Hell, the 7 Deadly Sins, each one's gonna be, you know, based upon those, like this is gluttony or something like that, you know what I mean. But then it also says that the time marches on and seasons cycle in a familiar fashion. As the seasons change, so do the landscapes and the monsters that inhabit it. So that's pretty cool. This looks like springtime, fall, winter time. He's running on the river because it's iced over. There's some new monsters and all that kind of stuff. You can have a party of 4 different monsters, which is nice. There's new monsters here. The Gumonolimbus? I assume it's like the cumulonimbus cloud, but slimed up or whatever. The vegan Drorga, the Ronin raccoon, and then it goes into Day 1 downloadable content. The game isn't even out yet, and they're already making downloadable content. Back in the day, you know what downloadable content would have been? Day 1 downloadable content? It would have been free shit to just put inside the frickin' game. But no, we can't have that. We have to nickel and dime everybody. Anyway, the DLC is the Mole Hole, the Coach Joe's Dungeon Gym, and Treasure Trunks. And it's bullshit! And you shouldn't have to pay for Day 1 DLC. If the game is still in development and you're developing stuff, guess what this stuff should be? It should be in the game. In our last bit of Dragon Quest news today, Dragon Quest X has finally been translated into English thanks to fans. There is a fan translation that lets you play up to episode 5 or so of the game. Me personally, I don't do MMOs. I've talked about this before. I get addicted to them, and I just don't. So I just steer clear. Even though it's Dragon Quest, I'm still not going to play it. I just have to do self-care in that regard. If you want to know how to do this, there is a comprehensive guide, step-by-step guide on Dragon Quest X Abbey, and it tells you how to do detailed images to get the free trial of Dragon Quest X up and running on your PC, complete with the translations provided by Dragon Quest X Clarity. It is a long and involved process, apparently, and also I'm not very good at anything in regards to computers, so I probably wouldn't be able to figure it out anyway. But if you want to play Dragon Quest X, if you like MMOs, if you're not addicted to them, and you're also really good at computer stuff like this, all of which I am not, then maybe you should go and check this out, because you'll finally be able to play this in English. Me personally, I'm going to wait on an official Dragon Quest X offline, non-MMO, in English release over here. Probably be waiting till the day that I die, but I'm still going to wait for it. Remember last week, I came to y'all because Silent Hope Day 1 Edition was on Amazon, but it was sold out on Amazon? Guess what? It's back in stock, and it's $50. In the meantime, though, I've already gone down to GameStop, and I've already pre-ordered it there, so whatever. If you haven't, then you can grab this Day 1 edition that just looks freaking sweet right here. I'm going to include an affiliate link in the comments section, so if you want to support the channel at the same time as getting this pretty awesome game, then be my guest. It looks pretty cool. It's like a dungeon crawler, all that. You get to choose your heroes, job classes, and just like Loop 8 and Trinity Trigger, like $50 and you get all this whenever you know that Square will be selling this for like $200. This is a no-brainer. Rivier the Promised Land Remaster has been announced, as well as YIG Reunion Will Never Fight Alone, and they've both been announced, and YIG Reunion is coming west on July 27th alongside a full PC release. However, Rivier the Promised Land didn't give a platform, nor did they give a release date. Both of these games are made by Sting, and they're both part of the Department Heaven series. They were both first released back on the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s, and then they were re-released for multiple systems. I want to say like the PSP, then they came out for like Android and iOS and all this, then they came out over on Switch in Japan, but they never came here. So now they are finally coming. It's odd to me though that YIG Reunion is the second game in the series, but it's getting a release date before the first game in the series, so I don't know what's going on there, but hey, we're getting these games. Falcom is working on something brand new that is not Ys, and it's also not Trails. This comes from an interview created by Push Square whenever they were interviewing the president of Falcom. And basically, here's the question. I'm going to read the question and the answer. It says, what are Falcom's goals for the near future? For the immediate future, the most important thing is to make sure that Ys 10, which is the series' 35th anniversary title, is a rousing success. It's also the 10th entry in the series, so there's that aspect as well. Beyond that, we want to show fans something brand new that isn't in either the Ys or the Trails series. We're currently working on that. Then the article goes on to say, maybe it's a sequel to Tokyo Xanadu that has been kind of teased for a while, but I don't know, because it doesn't say that we're going to work on something older or anything or a continuation of a series. It says that they want to work on something brand new. That to me says an entirely new franchise, not a Tokyo Xanadu sequel, not an Ys, not a Trail, something entirely brand new. So I don't know what that could possibly be. Maybe it is Tokyo Xanadu, maybe it's a translation error, who knows? But I am personally excited for it because everything that Falcom touches, for the most part, is gold. And our last story of the day, the developers of Final Fantasy 16 are already working on ideas for DLC thanks to the high level of player interest in the new installment of Square Enix's iconic franchise. Okay, this thing is bothersome to me on two different accounts. Number one, whenever they sold us this game, they said, you know what? This game is going to be standalone. There's going to be no DLC. They literally told us that. They said there's going to be no DLC. But now, a scant 2 whole weeks after it's been released, let's get some DLC. Let's milk this. Of course, of course. But then the other thing that's bothersome to me about this, well, let me go ahead and read this little quote right here. It says, "The game has received high ranking, excellent sales, and generally warm reception from the public. And in a recent interview on Gamer Brave's channel, they said the developers are already thinking about how to enrich the already colorful story, and most likely 16 will get DLC in the future. But at the moment, the development team is busy concentrating on, get this, porting Final Fantasy 16 to the PC. And after that, the DLC creation can move on to the active phase." So, okay, not only did they lie to us about no DLC, but they also lied to us about Final Fantasy 16 being a PS5 exclusive. Because now, we had no idea we were going to port it to the PC. 2 weeks later, boom! Hey, we're working on a PC port, people. Like, why can't you just tell us the truth from the get-go? Just tell us. Come on, just say, you know what? We're going to release this game on such and such date, then 6 months later, it's going to be released on the PC. Just tell us that from the get-go. Or why don't you just tell us, hey, we're going to release this game, it's going to be a full game, but we're going to have some DLC in the future. Why don't you just tell us that stuff? Why do you have to lie to our face? We're not stupid. Quit lying to our face and saying one thing and then turning around and doing another. Our memories aren't that crappy. My memory is pretty crappy, but it's not that crappy. Like, for real, come on now. For the most part, I don't do DLC. I just don't. I'm old school that way. Once a game releases and I play it and I beat it, I'm done. It has got to be some damn good DLC for me to play it. Kind of like that Xenoblade 3 DLC that came out recently. That's some damn good DLC. So we'll see what they come up with here. But if it's just more of the same fetch questy, side questy stuff, like, no ma'am, I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? But yeah, what do you guys think about not only this story, but just all the stories that I presented to you? Let me know in the comments. Let's get a discussion going on here, and as always, have a good day.